Story number 1. Title: Shadows of the Past, The Haunting of Suburban Texas. In the summer of 2001, my friend Alex and I embarked on a journey to explore the Texan suburbs. Alex, a budding journalist, had caught wind of a boy's disappearance in a small village nearby, and I, an amateur photographer, hoped to capture the raw emotions and landscapes on film. The night we reached the village, we were greeted by Jennifer, a local teacher, and Officer Williams, a cop who'd been leading the search operations for the missing lad. Jennifer described him as a boy with a heart of gold, and his sudden disappearance had left the community devastated. On our first day, the village's rustic charm captured my heart. It was a blend of old-world charisma and the untouched beauty of nature. However, as the day turned into night, an ominous air gripped the place. Alex, Jennifer, Williams, and I set out for the woods the next evening, tracing the path the boy might have taken. But, as dusk settled, a wild coyote darted past us, its eyes gleaming menacingly in the fading light. Startled, we sprinted deeper into the woods. Trees lashed at us, branches left marks, and stones hurt our feet. Hours felt like minutes, and soon, the darkness was absolute. Amidst this obsidian night, we stumbled upon an old, dilapidated structure, barely visible through the dense foliage, the mysterious abandoned place locals whispered about. Drawing from tales, Jennifer recounted how this was once a community center, which witnessed a tragic fire 2 decades ago, killing many. It was said that their restless spirits still roamed these woods, forever trapped. Armed with only our torches, we ventured inside, seeking shelter. But more than that, a hunch told us this could be where the boy might be. After hours of searching, we found him, terrified and hiding in a corner room. But the true horror began as night fell. Whispered voices echoed through the walls, footfalls resonated in the empty corridors, and shadows flitted past windows. Every now and then, a piercing scream shattered the quiet, leaving us paralyzed with fear. Jennifer, clinging onto Alex, whispered tales of the spirits of those who perished in the fire. Officer Williams, ever the rational one, initiated an investigation. We discovered old newspaper clippings and personal belongings of the victims. Among them was a diary of a young girl, detailing the neglect and poor maintenance of the community center. The accounts in the diary revealed that the fire was an accident waiting to happen. As dawn approached, the paranormal activities waned. We realized that these spirits were not malevolent, but were seeking justice and acknowledgement. Before leaving, we made a makeshift memorial for the victims outside the ruined structure. Back in the village, we shared our findings. The villagers, shaken, promised to erect a proper memorial. Though years have passed, the memories of that night remain etched in my mind. The haunted eyes of those spirits, the chilling sounds, and the raw emotions of the village still haunt my dreams. But above all, it's a testament to the lengths we'd go to uncover the truth, even when faced with the inexplicable. Story number 2. Title: Echoes from Suburban Shadows, The Cursed Halls of New York. In 2002, my life was changed forever. That year, I, along with my friends, Mark and Ethan, found ourselves on the brink of terror that one could only find in the worst of nightmares. All we wanted was to find Lily, a girl from our village who had gone missing just days prior. I can still vividly recall the rustling leaves of that autumn evening in suburban New York. Mark, Ethan, and I had decided to search for Lily in the woods, suspecting she might have ventured there. As we walked, the shadowy figures of trees formed a maze around us. The gentle hum of the night was disrupted when a wild deer darted across our path. We panicked, veering off track and deeper into the woods. Our hasty retreat left us bruised and battered by the unforgiving forest. Lost and disoriented, we stumbled upon an old, decaying mansion. The air grew cold, and an uneasy feeling settled in. We wondered if this was the place locals often whispered about, warning children to stay away. This mansion, nestled in the forgotten parts of the woods, had a dark past. We decided to venture in, thinking maybe Lily sought refuge there. Inside, the mansion was a relic of the past. Decades-old furniture lay covered in dust. We split up, hoping to cover more ground. To our horror, we eventually found Lily in one of the upper rooms, trembling with fear. That night, our relief was short-lived. Haunting moans echoed through the halls, and cold drafts passed even though all the windows were shut. Silhouettes roamed the corridors, leaving us in terror. The following morning, 2 villagers, Robert, a historian, and Claire, a local reporter, joined us. Claire had been researching the history of the mansion, and Robert was keen on preserving its legacy. Through them, we learned of a dark event from the 1900s. The mansion was owned by a wealthy family who hosted grand balls. But one fateful night, the celebrations took a grim turn. A massive fire engulfed the place, and many perished. Their souls, it was said, remained trapped, waiting for release. With Claire's notes and Robert's historical knowledge, we discovered that the fire was no accident. It was a result of a love triangle and a betrayal that ended in a calamity. Our stay was filled with restless nights as the spirits roamed freely. Their mournful cries, vengeful apparitions, and the chilling aura kept us on edge. Lily revealed that she had been hearing voices calling out to her, which led her to the mansion. We realized that she shared a name with a young girl who died in the fire, drawing her to this haunted place. Vowing to help these restless souls, we, with the aid of Robert and Claire, organized a memorial in the village, acknowledging the lost lives and the tragic event. Time has passed, but the memories remain fresh. That cursed mansion in the woods, the lost souls, and the chilling nights still haunt my dreams. We ventured to find one, but in the process, unveiled a story that was begging to be told. Story number 3. Title: Whispers of Willow Creek, The Lost Souls of Suburban LA. 2003, a year forever etched in my mind. Not for milestones or celebrations, but for the harrowing ordeal my friends and I endured one fateful night in suburban Los Angeles. It started innocently enough. A child from our village, Timmy, had gone missing. Rumors abounded, and some whispered about an old building hidden deep in the woods, a place where shadows danced and voices whispered. Out of concern and youthful curiosity, my friends Lisa, Danny, Josh, and I decided to search for Timmy in those very woods. The atmosphere grew thick with tension as the night progressed. Our flashlights' beams barely pierced the darkness. An eerie silence was interrupted when a wild fox darted in front of us. Startled, we scattered in different directions, the thorny underbrush and jagged rocks causing us scrapes and bruises. Lost and disoriented, we regrouped near a looming structure that seemed to materialize out of the gloom, an old asylum, long since abandoned and overtaken by nature. It felt as if the very building was pulsating with the anguish of 1,000 souls. Driven by determination, we ventured inside, praying Timmy had taken refuge there. The dilapidated walls told tales of pain and sorrow. Hours into our search, we found Timmy, cowering in a corner room, his eyes wide with terror. That night, the true nightmare began. Hollow voices echoed through the rotting halls, ghostly apparitions darted in and out of our vision, and chilling drafts sent shivers down our spines. Morning brought some solace in the form of 2 villagers, Nancy, an investigative journalist, and Edward, a paranormal researcher. They'd been studying the history and mysterious occurrences related to the asylum. Through them, we learned of a dark chapter from the 1930s. The asylum, once known as Willow Creek Sanatorium, had been home to numerous patients. Tragically, due to negligence and poor funding, a massive fire broke out, causing many to perish, their souls now trapped within its walls. Nancy showed us articles and photographs detailing the tragedy, while Edward presented chilling EVP recordings of ghostly voices, further confirming the presence of spirits. The ghosts, they believed, were not malicious but were trapped, reliving their agonizing final moments and yearning to be freed. United in our goal, we held a vigil, acknowledging the lost souls and hoping to offer them some semblance of peace. Our combined efforts seemed to work, for the atmosphere within the asylum felt lighter, less oppressive. That night changed us forever. The haunting memories of the voices, the apparitions, and the chilling history of Willow Creek still linger. As I pen down this account, I realize that, sometimes, it's our duty to listen to those long gone and to give voice to their silenced cries. Story number 4. Title: The Forgotten Shadows of Misty Pines, Unveiling San Francisco's Haunting Secrets. In the summer of 2004, my friend Natalie and I decided to spend our vacation exploring the serene suburbs of San Francisco. Our adventure, however, took a sinister turn when a local boy, Jake, went missing. Drawn to the mystery, we decided to aid in his search, not realizing the chilling experience that awaited us. Our journey began with twilight casting long shadows as we delved deeper into the woods of Misty Pines. We were so engrossed in our conversation that the sudden appearance of a wild bobcat on our path caught us off guard. Panic surged through us as we darted in various directions, the dense foliage scratching our skin and the uneven ground making us stumble. Hours later, we found ourselves in front of a grand, yet dilapidated mansion, seemingly abandoned and shrouded in an unsettling silence. Its intricate Gothic architecture hinted at its once glorious past. Drawn both by curiosity and the hope of finding Jake, we cautiously stepped inside. Our hopes came true when we found Jake, disoriented and terrified, in one of the rooms upstairs. But our relief was short-lived as the night revealed the mansion's haunting secrets. From whispered lullabies to soft footsteps in the hallways, the spectral manifestations grew bolder as the hours passed. Ghostly apparitions stared at us from dark corners, and the chilling breeze seemed to carry sorrowful sighs. The following morning, we were joined by Mr. Mitchell, a local historian, and Clara, a medium known to communicate with spirits. Intrigued by our experience, they shed light on the mansion's tragic history. It was once owned by a wealthy family known for their lavish parties. However, a catastrophic earthquake in the early 1900s claimed many lives during one such event, trapping their spirits in a never-ending loop of that fateful night. As Clara attempted to communicate with the spirits, she conveyed their yearning for acknowledgement and peace. It became evident that their trapped souls were not merely haunting but crying out for recognition. Determined to help, Mr. Mitchell and we organized a memorial service in the village, with Clara guiding the spirits towards the light. The event brought closure not only to the spirits but also to the village, which had unknowingly lived under a shadow of sadness for a century. Looking back, I shiver at the memory of that chilling night, of the mournful eyes that watched us from the darkness, and of the whispered voices that echoed with tales of a bygone era. But above all, I remember it as a testament to the enduring bond between the living and the dead, and the lengths to which we'll go to find peace. Story number 5. Title: The Shadows of Coral Glade, Miami's Forgotten Tragedy. 2005, a year that started with promise but turned into a harrowing adventure I'll never forget. Together with my friends, Leo and Chris, we delved into a mystery that haunted the Miami suburbs and came face to face with the specters of the past. The day began with the news of Sophie, a local girl, having vanished without a trace. Miami suburbs, with its lush greens and serene ambience, seemed an unlikely place for such mysteries. But whispers in the village spoke of an old, forgotten place deep within the woods, a place shrouded in legends. Curiosity and concern led us, 3 college students, on an impromptu search. As evening cast its golden hues, the serene forest path was disrupted by the sudden appearance of a wild raccoon. Startled, we sprinted deeper into the forest. Thorns tugged at our clothes, and sharp rocks littered our path, causing us minor injuries. The dense foliage eventually gave way to an imposing sight, a once grand hotel, now decrepit and taken over by nature. Its grandeur was faded, but the aura of sadness was palpable. Compelled by a mix of adrenaline and hope, we began our search for Sophie. To our immense relief, we found her in a dimly lit room, seemingly in a trance, her eyes reflecting a deep-rooted fear. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, the real terror commenced. Eerie laughter echoed through the dilapidated corridors, cold gusts breezed through sealed rooms, and ghostly figures roamed the halls. The next morning, 2 unexpected allies joined our quest for answers. Ms. Elena, a seasoned journalist, and Professor Ramirez, an expert in local history. They revealed the grim past of the Coral Glade Hotel. In the 1960s, it was the epitome of luxury, drawing guests from all over. However, one fateful evening, a massive fire erupted, trapping guests and staff. Many perished, and their spirits, it was said, lingered, forever bound to the ruins. Professor Ramirez showed us old blueprints of the hotel, and Ms. Elena shared newspaper articles detailing the tragedy. The pieces of the puzzle began to fit. The ghosts weren't haunting, they were reliving their last moments, desperate for release. Determined to help these souls find peace, we, along with our newfound allies, organized a memorial in the village, commemorating the lost lives of Coral Glade. As we paid our respects, the atmosphere around the hotel lightened, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. The memories of that chilling encounter remain fresh. The laughter, the shadows, the cries for help still echo in my ears. But it's also a stark reminder of the fine line between the world of the living and the dead, and how sometimes they intertwine in the most unexpected ways. Story number 6. Title: Secrets of Silver Hollow, The Haunting of Orlando's Edge. 2006, a year I'll never forget. My friends Kelly, Michael, Adrian, and I were high school students in a quaint village on the outskirts of Orlando. Our days were filled with exams, teenage drama, and plans for summer. But one incident changed our lives forever. It all started when little Emily, a child from our village, went missing. The event cast a dark shadow over our otherwise peaceful lives. Unable to sit idle and driven by a mix of concern and adolescent bravery, we decided to comb the nearby woods. That evening, the woods seemed different, darker, more silent. And as we walked, a sudden rustle caught our attention. A wild opossum crossed our path. Startled, we ran deeper into the woods. Tangled vines scratched our arms, and hidden roots tripped us. We were lost. Among the looming trees, we found an old, weathered mansion, covered in a blanket of moss and decay. The Linwood Manor, as the fading nameplate read. Hoping to find Emily and seek shelter, we entered. Inside, the air was thick with a mix of mold and a past that refused to fade. To our relief, we found Emily in a room, trembling, her eyes echoing unspeakable horrors. But as night fell, Linwood Manor unveiled its sinister side. Shadows moved of their own accord, disembodied voices whispered, and cold drafts seemed to carry mournful songs. The following day, we were joined by Mrs. Grayson, a local librarian, and Detective Ruiz, who was investigating Emily's disappearance. Together, we unearthed a horrifying past. In the early 1920s, Linwood Manor was a flourishing orphanage until a cholera outbreak swept through, taking the lives of almost every child. Their spirits, it was believed, were trapped, reliving their untimely demise. Armed with this knowledge and guided by Detective Ruiz, we searched the manor for clues. In the attic, Mrs. Grayson found old documents and letters that revealed the negligence of the orphanage's administration, which led to the rapid spread of the disease. Our nights were sleepless. Ghostly children played in corridors, their laughter turning to cries. But understanding their tragic past, our fear was replaced by a deep sadness. With Mrs. Grayson's help, we organized a memorial for the lost souls of Linwood Manor. As we lit candles and said our prayers, the atmosphere changed. The oppressive weight that had hung over the manor lifted, and peace finally returned. Reflecting on that time, I'm reminded of the thin line between our world and the one beyond. The children of Linwood Manor taught us empathy beyond fear, proving that every soul, no matter how lost, yearns for understanding and peace. Story number 7. Title: Whispers of Red Canyon, The Lost Souls of Vegas Suburbs. I remember it as if it were yesterday. My friend, Isabel, and I decided to explore the lesser-known parts of the Las Vegas suburbs during our summer vacation. Away from the glitz and glamour of the Strip, we sought solace in nature. But fate had a different plan for us. It began with a simple search for Tyler, a local guy who had gone missing a few days prior. Drawn to the mystery and eager to help his distressed family, we embarked on our quest through the sunlit woods of Red Canyon. However, as twilight cast its velvet cloak, our serene journey was interrupted by the sudden appearance of a wild desert hare. Spooked, we lost our bearings and sprinted deeper into the woods. The rough terrain left us bruised, and the dimming light only added to our growing sense of dread. Amid the encroaching darkness, we stumbled upon a once stately hotel, now consumed by the sands of time and nature. Its facade spoke of grandeur long gone, but there was an unmistakable aura of sadness and despair. Hoping to find Tyler and seek shelter for the night, we ventured inside. To our immense relief, we found him in the basement, huddled in a corner, his face pale with terror. But the night had more horrors in store. Echoes of distant laughter, whispers of sorrowful tales, and fleeting apparitions became our unwanted companions. The walls seemed to weep, and the air grew heavy with grief. The next morning, our harrowing experience drew the attention of Mr. Thompson, a local historian, and Vanessa, a psychic sensitive to paranormal energies. They enlightened us about the hotel's dark past. In its heyday in the 1950s, a tragic accident occurred during a gala event, leading to a devastating fire. Many patrons, unable to escape, met their untimely end. Their spirits, bound by the trauma, were believed to still inhabit the forsaken structure. Vanessa attempted to communicate with the entities, conveying their pain and longing for release. Old newspaper clippings and dusty guest logs, discovered by Mr. Thompson, corroborated the tale, painting a vivid picture of that fateful night. Determined to bring peace to the restless souls, we, alongside our newfound allies, held a vigil in their honor. We acknowledged their suffering, offered our sympathies, and prayed for their release. As I reflect on that haunting experience, the memories still send shivers down my spine. The ghostly faces, the mournful whispers, and the chilling atmosphere remain vivid. Yet, it's a poignant reminder of the impermanence of life and the everlasting impact of unresolved pain. Story number 8. Title: Moans of the Manoa Valley, Spirits of Honolulu's Hidden Past. An era of excitement, new beginnings, and for me, a chilling encounter in the tranquil suburbs of Honolulu that would forever be seared into my memory. It began innocently enough. Jake, Bradley, and I, all college students with insatiable curiosities, were moved by the local news of a missing girl named Lila. With the island's close-knit community and the plea of her family ringing in our ears, we decided to contribute by combing the dense woods of Manoa Valley. The tropical evening was alive with the songs of crickets and the rustling of leaves. But our peaceful walk was jolted when a wild boar appeared on our path. Panicking, we veered off our trail and deep into the heart of the forest. The jungle's embrace was tight, and we suffered cuts and scrapes from the dense foliage. Soon, an eerie silence enveloped us, leading us to a dilapidated plantation house, hidden away for what seemed like centuries. Its time-worn walls and overgrown garden gave away its age, and an air of melancholy hung about. Believing Lila might have sought shelter there, we ventured inside. Our search led us to a dim, dusty room where we found her, eyes wide and petrified. But as nightfall shrouded the house, we began to realize we weren't alone. Soft, sorrowful humming echoed through the corridors, shadows danced on the walls, and the scent of old flowers permeated the air. The dawn brought two unexpected saviors, Auntie Kaula, an elder well-versed in Hawaiian folklore, and Jonah, a journalist intrigued by local mysteries. Their knowledge unveiled the heart-wrenching tale of the house. It had been a thriving sugarcane plantation in the 1800s, but a combination of betrayal, love, and a deadly hurricane had resulted in the death of many workers and their families. Jonah showed us old records and newspaper articles about the disaster, while Auntie Kaula shared legends of spirits that were trapped due to unfinished business, their souls bound to the land they once called home. Compelled to help, Auntie Kaula performed a traditional Hawaiian ceremony to appease the spirits, urging them to move on. We all participated, offering flowers and chants, hoping to bring peace to the lost souls. Looking back, I'm haunted by the memories of that night, the cries, the shadows, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched. But intertwined with the terror is a story of a bygone era, love, betrayal, and the enduring power of memory. It stands as a testament to the past's ability to reach out and touch the present, asking us never to forget. Story number 9. Title: Echoes of Eden Park, The Restless Souls of Suburbia. A year I can't erase from my memory, no matter how hard I try. The outskirts of Washington, D.C., particularly our little village in suburbia, was the backdrop for a chilling tale that began with the innocent intention of finding a missing child. My friends, Emma, Luke, Sarah, and I were the typical high school students with dreams and plans for the future. But all that took a back seat when young Tommy from our village disappeared. One evening, as the sun bade its amber goodbye, we decided to comb the Eden Park woods, a sprawling forested area with old tales of mysterious occurrences. Engulfed in conversation and the allure of a setting sun, our peace was shattered by a deer that suddenly leapt across our path. In panic, we dispersed in various directions, the dense woods causing more than just physical scars as we delved deeper into the unknown. The moonlight eventually revealed an ominous silhouette, an old mansion, long abandoned and claimed by nature. Overgrown ivy covered its exterior, but one could still make out its former splendor. Drawn by a mix of hope and curiosity, we ventured inside. The silent halls echoed our footsteps until a faint whimper led us to a room where we found Tommy, drenched in fear. But our relief was short-lived. As night wrapped its dark cloak around the mansion, we realized we weren't alone. Ethereal figures flitted through the hallways, cold spots sent shivers down our spines, and mournful cries pierced the silence. Morning light saw our rescue by two individuals, Mr. Anderson, a local historian, and Miss Fiona, an expert in paranormal events. Their knowledge unveiled the mansion's tragic past. It was once a grand residence turned sanatorium in the early 1900s. Due to a tragic mishap, a fire engulfed the place, and many patients, unable to escape, met a tragic end. Mr. Anderson shared old documents and news articles, detailing the events leading up to that fateful night. Miss Fiona, with her sensitivity to the spiritual realm, explained that the trapped souls, still traumatized by their sudden deaths, roamed the mansion in search of solace. Feeling a profound connection to their pain, we joined hands with our saviors to conduct a ritual aiming to guide these restless spirits towards the light. Chanting prayers and enveloped in a sea of candles, we felt the atmosphere shift, a sensation of release, as if a heavy burden had lifted. To this day, I can't pass a forest without thinking of that eerie mansion and the lost souls we encountered. The spectral faces, the anguished cries, and the chilling encounters are forever etched in my memory. But interwoven with that fear is a tale of tragedy, compassion, and the undeniable bond between the past and the present. Story number 10. Title: Shadows of Elmhurst, the Forgotten Mansion of Chicago's Outskirts. The year began with bright prospects and quickly turned into a chilling adventure that scarred me and my friend, Clara, for life. As tourists in the picturesque Chicago suburbs, we were drawn to tales of the unexplained, but little did we know that we'd soon become part of one such haunting narrative. It started with the news of Aaron, Clara's boyfriend, who had vanished mysteriously. Amidst whispers of old mansions and spectral sightings in the village, our determination to find him intensified. One evening, as we wandered the woods of Elmhurst, our conversation was abruptly interrupted by a wild fox darting past. In our startled state, we ventured off the beaten path, getting scraped and bruised by thorns and uneven terrain. Emerging from the dense foliage, a grand yet dilapidated mansion loomed in front of us, the notorious Hinsdale House. Its once majestic walls, now covered in ivy and decay, echoed with tales of grand balls and tragic events. Hoping to find Aaron and perhaps a phone line, we went inside. In a dimly lit room, we stumbled upon him, appearing dazed, as if under a trance. But as night fell, the true terror of Hinsdale House revealed itself. Spectral figures floated across hallways, eerie whispers filled the air, and an oppressive atmosphere enveloped the mansion. Our ordeal drew the attention of Mr. Wilson, a local historian, and Ms. Lydia, a psychic with a deep connection to the spiritual realm. With their help, we began to unravel the dark history of the mansion. In the late 1800s, Hinsdale House was the site of a catastrophic event where a massive fire broke out during a grand party. Many guests couldn't escape the flames, and their souls, tormented and restless, lingered. Mr. Wilson shared old newspaper clippings, while Ms. Lydia communicated with the spirits, relaying their pain and desire for closure. We decided to act. With guidance from Ms. Lydia, we held a seance, attempting to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. The night was tense, filled with whispered apologies and heartfelt goodbyes. And as dawn broke, a serene calm settled over the mansion. Looking back, the haunting memories of that night still send shivers down my spine. The cries, the cold drafts, and the sorrowful faces of the lost souls remain vivid in my mind. Yet, it's a testament to the events of the past that can reach across time, asking for acknowledgement and peace. Story number 11. Title: Hauntings of Beacon Hill, The Legacy of Boston's Past. A year marked by excitement, adventures, and an experience that forever etched its place in my memory. Together with my friends, Mark and Ethan, we were a trio of students from a college in Boston, with an appetite for exploration. Our tale began with the sudden disappearance of a local girl named Abigail. Sympathetic to her family's plight and driven by youthful courage, we decided to scour the dense woods of Beacon Hill. The hope was to find any trace of her or, at the very least, clues that could aid in her safe return. That fateful evening, as the shadows of trees played tricks on our vision, a swift raccoon dashed across our path. Spooked and disoriented, we ventured deeper into the labyrinthine forest, sustaining scratches and cuts from the unseen hazards of the woods. After what felt like hours, the silhouette of an ancient manor appeared. Its Victorian architecture, though majestic, was marred by age and neglect. Named the Winthrop Estate according to the fading signboard, it held an air of desolation, yet also a sense of foreboding curiosity. Hoping to find Abigail, we cautiously stepped inside. After navigating through a myriad of rooms and hallways, we stumbled upon her, quivering in a secluded corner, her eyes reflecting unspeakable terror. But as the inky blanket of night deepened, our temporary refuge turned into a nightmarish prison. Ghostly apparitions roamed the corridors, spectral voices whispered tales of anguish, and unseen hands seemed to brush against our skin. Our ordeal attracted the attention of two locals, Mrs. O'Malley, a seasoned journalist who had a penchant for local history, and Mr. Blake, a renowned paranormal investigator. They unraveled the dark tapestry of the Winthrop Estate. In the late 1800s, a gala event turned tragic when a floor collapsed, leading to the demise of many attendees. Their spirits, trapped in perpetual agony, lingered on. Armed with Mrs. O'Malley's extensive research and guided by Mr. Blake's expertise, we conducted a séance. It was a night filled with emotions, where tears met hopes, and sorrow met solace. Retracing the steps of that chilling adventure, the haunting images remain vivid, the cold, soulful eyes of the trapped spirits, the mournful cries echoing in the corridors, and the chilling presence felt in every shadow. Yet intertwined with the fear is a tale of Boston's hidden history, a forgotten disaster, and the powerful bond between the realms of the living and the dead. Story number 12. Title: Whispers of Wyncote, The Abandoned Asylum's Secret. A year I will never forget. Amidst the bustling suburbs of Philadelphia, my friends and I were drawn into a chilling tale of bygone days that forever changed our perception of our hometown. It was Amber, Josh, Liam, Zoe, and I, 5 friends from Wyncote High, bound together by our sense of adventure and the rumors that a young boy named Caleb from our village had disappeared. Without second thoughts, we decided to search the neighboring woods for any sign of him. The day was fading, and as we navigated through the thickets, a startled owl flew directly in our path. Panic led us deeper into the forest, away from familiar trails, where thorny branches and jagged stones left their mark. Unexpectedly, the overgrown trees parted to reveal the dilapidated structure of an old asylum, the infamous Penhust Asylum. Overwhelmed with a mixture of fear and curiosity, we ventured inside, where we eventually found Caleb, shaken and scared, in one of the decrepit rooms. But as darkness descended, our real ordeal began. Ghastly apparitions of former patients appeared, whispering tales of anguish, pain, and unfulfilled dreams. Hallways echoed with mournful cries, and chilling drafts sent shivers down our spines. Our plight reached Dr. Mitchell, a historian passionate about Penhust's history, and Mrs. Grayson, a medium with a connection to the spiritual realm. They revealed the dark past of the asylum. Penhust was notorious for its inhumane treatments in the 1900s, resulting in countless deaths. Trapped between realms, those souls sought solace in justice. Using Dr. Mitchell's research, we unearthed old records and personal belongings of the patients, while Mrs. Grayson helped us communicate with the spirits. An emotional night ensued, where regrets met forgiveness, and the lost were remembered. Looking back on those harrowing events, the memories are as vivid as if they occurred just yesterday. The desolate cries, the icy touch of unseen hands, and the sad eyes of souls who were once forgotten. But intertwined with this haunting experience is a tale of compassion, understanding, and the enduring spirit of those who once walked the halls of Penhust. The walls might crumble, but their stories live on. Story number 13. Title: Midnight Echoes, The Forsaken Halls of Garland. Among the urban sprawl of Dallas and its surrounding suburbs, a chilling episode unfolded that still haunts my dreams. My friend Anna and I, eager for adventure, decided to explore the quaint villages around Dallas. But our innocent exploration soon turned into a sinister encounter with the past. As we ventured through the picturesque trails, Anna and I were startled by a coyote that suddenly crossed our path. The fear sent us veering off our planned route, and we quickly found ourselves lost amidst the trees, the encroaching darkness only exacerbating our growing panic. Stumbling through the thicket, we unexpectedly arrived at the foreboding gates of an abandoned mansion, which seemed eerily out of place in the heart of Garland suburb. We thought it might offer shelter or perhaps a phone line. Our concerns for Anna's missing boyfriend, Max, also propelled us inside, hoping against hope he had taken refuge there. To our astonishment, we discovered Max in an upstairs room. He looked pale and dazed, muttering about whispers in the walls. The true horror, however, revealed itself after sundown. Spectral figures roamed the vast hallways, mournful wails echoed from unknown corners, and a palpable sense of despair permeated the mansion. Our predicament drew the attention of Mrs. Cynthia, an elder from the village with deep knowledge about local legends, and Mr. Harris, an urban explorer familiar with forgotten places. They revealed the mansion's grim history. A lavish party in the early 1900s ended in a catastrophic fire, consuming many lives. The victims' souls, trapped in anguish, remained tethered to the place, making their presence known to any intruders. With their help, Anna, Max, and I pieced together the tragic events of that fateful night. Guided by Mrs. Cynthia's folklore and Mr. Harris's expertise, we conducted a ritual to acknowledge the lost souls and aid them in finding peace. Now, as I reflect on that harrowing experience, the mansion's dark corridors, the anguished spirits, and the cold touch of the unseen still haunt my every thought. But intertwined with the terror is a tale of Dallas's hidden history, a forgotten tragedy, and the lasting echoes of souls longing for release. Every shadow, every whisper, is a testament to the events that once shook the heart of Garland. Story number 14. Title: Shadows of Sunnyslope, Phoenix's Forgotten Tragedy. 2014, Phoenix's Sunnyslope suburb. A year that left an indelible mark on my consciousness. On an unassuming evening, with the sun setting against the vast Arizonian skyline, my friends Alex, Jake, and I embarked on a search. Word had spread about a missing girl named Eliza from our village. Fueled by concern and youthful audacity, we set out to scour the woods where she was last seen. Amid our search, a sudden rustling interrupted the silence, followed by a fleeting glimpse of a bobcat. Startled, we made an impromptu sprint deeper into the woods, our pace only slowed by the numerous branches and rocks that met our path. As darkness blanketed the landscape, a crumbling structure loomed ahead, bearing a hauntingly desolate aura. An old sign read Sunnyslope Sanatorium. Hoping to find Eliza, we ventured inside, and to our relief, we found her in a dimly lit room, her expression one of pure terror. Yet, our relief was short-lived. Nightfall brought with it spectral figures of patients long gone, and haunting lullabies echoed throughout the corridors. We were trapped in a nightmarish reality, reminiscent of the most chilling horror films. Our ordeal drew the attention of Mrs. Agatha, a local librarian well-versed in Phoenix's history, and Mr. Castillo, a paranormal investigator. They shared the sanatorium's somber past. In the early 1900s, a major fire outbreak claimed numerous lives. Those unfortunate souls, trapped in anguish and pain, remained in the sanatorium, their cries echoing through time. With the guidance of Mrs. Agatha's historical records and Mr. Castillo's expertise, we orchestrated a seance. It was an emotionally charged night, where remorse met understanding, and the tragic tales of the lost were finally acknowledged. Looking back, the chilling memories remain, the echoing cries of the tormented souls, the ghostly apparitions in the corners of the sanatorium, and the intense feeling of despair. Yet, interwoven with the fear is a tale of Phoenix's buried history, the tragic demise of many, and the spirit of unity that eventually led to their liberation. It's a chilling testament to the events that once overshadowed Sunnyslope. Story number 15. Title: The Haunting of Elfin Forest, San Diego's Dark Past. The year was 2015, and the suburb of San Diego, where we resided, was known for its sunny disposition. However, a single night transformed its reputation forever in my eyes. My friends, Lydia, Ben, Aaron, and I, all high school students from a nearby village, were thrust into a search operation. A child from one of the families had gone missing, and the entire community was in turmoil. Determined to help, we began combing the woods where the child was last seen playing. As we delved deeper into the woods, a sudden blur crossed our path. A startled deer had chosen that moment to make its exit, causing us to veer off our intended route. Nightfall approached, and we found ourselves in front of a looming structure that seemed out of place, a dilapidated building concealed by years of overgrown foliage. With hope and dread intermingling, we searched the building and, to our immense relief, found the missing child in a dim corner, visibly shaken but unharmed. However, as night deepened, our relief turned to terror. Ghostly figures roamed the corridors, and haunting whispers filled the air. It was as if we had stumbled upon a scene straight out of a horror film. Seeking answers, we met Mrs. Martinez, a local historian, and Mr. Allen, a retired police officer familiar with unsolved cases in the area. They unraveled the chilling history of the place. It was an old hospital where a catastrophic fire had occurred in the early 1900s. Many patients, unable to escape, met a tragic end. Their restless spirits seemed to haunt the location, bound to the place of their untimely demise. Guided by the insights of Mrs. Martinez and the investigative skills of Mr. Allen, we embarked on a quest to unearth the truth and possibly provide some closure to these restless souls. The ordeal remains etched in my memory, the ghostly apparitions, the child's fearful eyes, and the chilling revelations of San Diego's obscured history. Through it all, I've come to realize that sometimes, the most haunting tales lie hidden in the shadows of our very neighborhoods, waiting for the right moment to be unveiled.